Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are joining us in today's lecture, coming to you from Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. Today's date is Afo, Market Day, in the first month of the Igbo lunar calendar called Onwambo, and in the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is March 4th, 2025. And remember, at Nkolo Mahadum, we always advise you to use your naturally given sense, called Akonuche in Igbo language, to evaluate all the information coming to you before you make any decision. And because we know the importance of educating you well, that is why we package and present lectures from an Igbo man, Biafran, and African perspectives for your benefit. And that is why we are urging you, we are begging you to please join and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and other social media platforms. And we also want you to like, because if you like our lectures, it will help us to reach more people. Also comment and share. Share it to your family members, share it to your children, because the information we are presenting here is what you have to know. And the title of today's lecture is that Anambra State may be captured and not a Christian state. Anambra State may be a captured state by some people and not a Christian state, because there's no proof to show that it is a Christian state. And before we continue, we have to define what is a captured state and what is a Christian state, as presented by Wikipedia. A captured state is a type of systemic political corruption in which private interests significantly influence a state's decision-making processes to their own advantage. That is, that a state capture is a type of systemic political corruption in which private interests significantly influence a state's decision-making processes to their own advantage. So what this means is that it's a captured state is a system where the political corruption is now used in the state for the benefit of private interests. Because this private interest is now what is driving the decision-making processes to their own advantage in such a state. That's how Wikipedia defines a captured state. And what is a Christian state? A Christian state is a state that recognizes Christianity as its official religion. And often we have a state church, also called an established church, which is a Christian domination that supports the government and is also supported by the government. So they work in hand in hand. So in a Christian state, it is a state that recognizes Christianity as its official religion. And often we have a state church. They usually have a state church, also called established church, which is a state church, which the state will build a church, which is a Christian domination. And that church will be supporting the government, and the government will be supporting the church. That is what a Christian state, according to Wikipedia, should be. But as of today, we don't have any state church established by the Anambra state government as a state church that is working with the government and the government is working with it. Unless if the Anambra state government is now telling us that the Catholic Church is the state church, because since the governor and most of his people and most people in the House of Assembly and the government are from the Catholic Church. That's what he should be telling us. He should be clear on that. If not, we don't have any state church that we know that has been established by the government with government purse. The Catholic Church we know today is a private institution, it's a corporation, it's a company that is in the state. It's not the state that built the Catholic Church, unless if they are funding the Catholic Church, which we don't know. And also, the Anambra State House of Assembly never passed any law making Anambra State a Christian state. As far as we know today, there's no law passed by the Anambra State government stating that Anambra State is now a Christian state. And also, there's no census conducted in the state to determine who has the highest population. If we have to determine who is in control through census, there have been none that have been conducted to show that, hey, the Christians are highest in number in the state, or the Ordinana people are the highest in the state, or those that are neutral are highest in the state. So for anyone to call Anambra State a Christian state, I think is just a mistake. It shouldn't be that way. There shouldn't be something like that. And so that's why we are presenting this lecture, to let our people know that Anambra State is not a Christian state, unless if he has been captured by some private interests. And according to the voice of the song, the Igbo people started becoming Christians 181 years ago, which is around 1844, which is in the 19th century. Just call it about 200 years ago. But before then, our people, our ancestors have been following their ordinana for millions and millions of years. And it was our ancestors that we are following the ordinana that provided, as first of all, received these foreigners when they came in, and also provided them free lands in most cases. They accepted, received them wholeheartedly, and even provided them free lands to build their churches. And so the ordinana have been there for millions and millions of years. And we also know that when the colonial masters, after they have colonized our people, ruled our land for many years and wanted to hand over, we also know that they handed over the power to our people that have accepted their colonial culture, including Christianity. We know that you guys are the one in charge of all government establishments. And so we at Inkolom Hadam, we are defining a Christian state as a state that should, we are defining a Christian state to be a state that we have 24-hour electricity. We have good roads and bridges We have good railway system, good erosion control, good educational system that will result to productivity, not this theoretical one. A state where we have abundant food for everybody, there's no hunger. A state where we have great hospitals, security without kidnapping and stealing or robbery of any type. A state where life expectancy is about 100 years. A state where we are in charge of all our natural resources and everything that we have. To mention a few. That is the definition of a Christian state by Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. If not, if we don't have all these conditionalities in our land today, then Anambra State may be a captured state by the Christians, led by the Catholic Church members, to occupy all the decision-making apparatus of the state, including the governorship, the deputy governor, the commissioners, the House of Assembly, the judges, and all state apparatus, all decision-making processes of the state. That may be what the governor is indirectly telling us, that the Christians, led by the Catholic Church, have captured the state, and not that Anambra State is a Christian state. That's one thing we want you to know today at Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University, that Anambra State may be captured and not a Christian state, because there's no proof to show that it is a Christian state. And Wikipedia have defined what is called a captured state and also a Christian state. And according to Wikipedia, a captured state is a type of systemic political corruption in which private interests significantly influence a state's decision-making processes to their own advantage. So if you look at what is going on in the state now, it could be what is going on. It could be what they want us to know. They have captured the state. And also, they define a Christian state as a state that recognizes Christianity as its official religion. And often, we have a state church, also called established church, which is a Christian denomination that supports the government and is also supported by the government. Today, we do not have any official religion in Anambra State. The state have not recognized any religion as the official religion of the state, because the Anambra State House of Assembly have never passed any law to state that Anambra State is now a Christian state. Plus, there's no state church. There's no church established by the state government. Or is it the Catholic Church that is now the state church? That is what we need to know. Whereby that church now supports the government, and the government now supports it. And there's no census conducted in Anambra State to know who has the highest population. Is it Christians or the Nana, or those that are neutral? There's no census. So there's no way anyone can say that Anambra State is a Christian state. And we want to remind everybody that according to the voice of the Son, the Igbo people started becoming Christians 181 years ago. That is around 1844 in the 19th century. Before the arrival of the Europeans, in 1844 to establish their church in Igbo land in 1844, our people have been following their ordinal. What is the ordinal? Our culture, our way of life. We have been following it for millions and millions of years. And it was our ancestors that we are following the ordinal, our culture, that received these foreigners with their religion and provided the land for free in most cases. And we also know that when the colonial masters were leaving our land, they also handed power to our brothers who accepted their foreign culture, including the Christian religion. And we at Inkom Mahadum, we are defining a Christian state as a state where there is 24-hour electricity, good roads and bridges, railroads, good erosion control, good waste control system, good educational system that results to productivity than this theoretical one, where there's abundant food, great hospitals, where there is security. There shouldn't be kidnapping. There shouldn't be armed robbery even in the States. Everybody should be satisfied. And the life expectancy should be around 100 years or more. And we should be in charge of all our resources. If Anambra State doesn't have this status as defined by Nkola Mahadum, then Anambra State may be a captured state by the Christians led by the Catholic Church, who now occupy all the decision-making apparatus of the state, including the governor, the deputy governor, the commissioners, the House of Assembly members, the judges, and all decision-making areas of apparatus of the state to their own advantage. And that is called state capture. It means they have captured our state. And we at Nkola Mahadum is asking them today to please uncapture our state. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. But before we do, we have to advise you again to please, all Africans should rise up and dismantle all these colonial boundaries in Africa, because it is these colonial boundaries in Africa that is the source of all the wars, all the diseases, all the manipulations, all the migrations of our people, all the poverty. Because if we cannot go to Europe and tell them, you are one country, why should we continue to allow them to be in our country, in our land? And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining me today, and have a very, very good day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.